Alright, so I picked out a clip that I recorded almost 1 year ago, the very first time that I met Shane O'Neill. Now, Shane's a former European champion in Muay Thai, and he's also coached UFC athletes in their striking before. For context, we were hosting a business workshop. We're at the biggest consultancy in all of Austria, and it's like a 40-something floor. So we had a potential collaboration standing out in the room, right? And based on the impressions that we would get off each other, we would then decide if we should become business partners. And obviously back then, Shane already knew that I'm an expert in psychology and business psychology. But what wasn't clear for him yet is how good is my knowledge of Muay Thai? How good is my analytical understanding of martial arts? And while all of the participants were out for lunch and taking a break, we decided to put on the pads, put on the gloves, and have a little test of where I'm at. And now I want us together to take a look at what happened. First of all, Shane sees my one championship gloves and he says he wants to try them out afterwards. But then we jump right into analyzing my jab. And he lets me repeat it a few times before he gives me some feedback to get an estimate of how good my jab really is. He says it's good, but he noticed a minor flaw. And that's that I'm not extending my hand right away, yeah? But I'm first of all retracting it a little bit. He says I should focus on leading with the shoulder and extending the arm at the end. And let's go a little back so we can actually see it in motion. What happens here is that I'm not extending my arm straight away, but you see me in my sway and my rhythm. And then I drop my hand and I kind of let it come backwards before I extend it, right? And obviously this is a telegraph. This is teaching our opponent that a jab is going to happen afterwards, yeah? It's just visually displaying our intentions. And of course that's something you want to avoid, right? So he gives me the feedback and he lets me implement it afterwards, and let's see how I do. Okay, he says it's better, and now he asks me to not be so stiff, yeah? I shouldn't be stationary. So I take a few jumps, I get loose, and then I hit the money shot, yeah? You can hear him say, yes. Let's take another look at it. No telegraph on that one, is what he says. And now he asks me to build on it, yeah? Now we're implementing fakes as well. You can see him asking for feints, and what happens is I do little feints, yeah? But here already he sees another flaw, because I'm doing it very much with my upper body, with my shoulder. And he says, listen, the feint needs to be more hand, and then he shows how it's done properly. It's like, he wants to see my hand move. I showed him another feint, and he says, yes, okay, let's try that one. So what happens now is we do the feint with a jab. Nice one. Now repeat it. And you can see us have a laugh, because what happened is I implemented his advice on feinting the jab with the hand more than with the shoulder, right? And you can see he fell for it straight away. You can see the timing of the punch connecting with the pad was kind of off, because he already thought I was jabbing when I was just feinting, not when I was throwing the actual strike. He fell for that one, that's what he said. And here you can see it happening in slow-mo. Yeah, you can see I'm throwing the feint, but now look at his pad. He's continuing to move forwards because he was expecting a strike. And then afterwards, when I'm actually throwing the strike, we don't connect very clean, right? Because the pad was already there. And that's where the laughter comes from. Okay, now we have a little communication about how to actually practice the strike, but it goes well. Now what happens is he wants to see all my arsenal, right? He wants to see all my weapons, so he can get a better estimate of where my technique actually is. Now he lets me throw the power strike, the rear kick. I think it's very nice technique, yeah, because I'm on my tiptoes, I'm rotating my hip completely. You can see full extension of both legs. I have my arm up covering my face, and even if my arm wasn't there, my shoulder is still protecting my chin. So I thought that was very nice technique on the kicks, yeah. Now the feedback that he gives me is that, yes, it's a roundhouse kick, but I'm going too round, yeah? He says in MMA especially, it would be better if you strike directly towards the target, yeah? You don't want to take the little detour. So he asked me to implement this one, and let's check it out. So what I'm doing now is I'm not stepping so far to the outside, but a little less, and then my kick fires straight away. And he's nodding, right? He sees it's a nice kick. And now we go back into combinations. Yeah, we have the jab from earlier, and we start building with the elbows and the knees. He wants me to get into a flow, right? So you can judge how well I can combine the strikes. And now he's asking me for defense as well. He's showing me a counter to when you defend the elbow. Because you see me defend the elbow quite well, but he wants to have an elbow counter, yeah? So I should step inside. I'll show you exactly why you should step inside. It's so you don't get hit with the sharp part of the elbow, yeah? You can see it now. I'm going to show you in slow-mo. When I step inside, he's not hitting with the point of the elbow. He's hitting with the soft part of his arm. And that, of course, takes way less damage. And then afterwards, he asked me to throw with the elbow right away. We have a little misunderstanding here about which elbow should be thrown. So he shows it to me again. But after I get what he means, I'm able to implement it quite well. Yeah, you see it right here. I step in and I throw the same elbow on the side where I blocked, yeah? And it's already very up from the block, yeah? So there's not too much distance that needs to be covered in order to reach the chin. Yeah. And then he wants to have an elbow combination afterwards, yeah? He started teeping me, and you saw me try to grab it, but he fainted the teep, so I'm grabbing air, and we have a little laugh. A little check over here. Now I'm in a southpaw stance, yeah? But I want to show him that I can do both stances, so I'm not switching right away. And you can see me angle out, and this is one of the most important things in Muay Thai. See his little flick? I'm going to show you. It's a very minor detail, but this is what it comes down to at a high level, yeah? So you see me in a southpaw stance. What is a southpaw stance? Is like kind of a lefty stance, yeah? If your left hand, if your left leg is your power strike, then you would stand like this. It's called unorthodox because most people don't do it, but I want to show him that I'm able to use both sides, so I stay there. And now look at his left arm. It flicks to the outside, yeah? It's very minor, but this is the cue that I'm supposed to angle out. And now you can see him step in. I'm able to read it immediately. I step out and I throw a strong strike. This is one of the two most important things in Muay Thai for me. You need to be able to disrupt your opponent's rhythm, so basically throw strikes when they're not expecting them, and you need to be able to gain a positional advantage by out-angling your opponent, yeah? For example, if you can see me here, I guided him into the room where I'll be throwing my kick, yeah? So he's basically there, and he can only take the damage. He's not in a position to strike me. So in this split second, I'm safe for a while. I can really give a power shot, yeah? Now let's keep watching. Okay, he asked me to throw a teep. I'm building on the teep by doing the Haggerty elbow. Very basic combination, right? And you can see me again angle out and throw a kick straight away. And I'm checking his, and I'm returning a kick immediately, yeah? Very basic Muay Thai. It's basic, but it's not easy. Here you can see me fake the teep. I go into a knee and elbow combination. And what Shane is expecting me here to apply what I learned earlier by stepping into his elbow to take the soft part of his arm, to not take a strong hit, and immediately counter with an elbow. And I didn't get it right away, but once I noticed, then I applied it. And we have a little high five moment. Because you can see my style of Muay Thai is more about evading. I'm not staying, it's called in the pocket, yeah? If you stay very close to where both fighters are able to strike each other very well, a very close range fight, that's staying in the pocket. I'm not a huge fan of staying in the pocket. My style of Muay Thai is more about evasiveness. It's more about being elusive and letting people strike into the air, miss their strikes, and then countering afterwards. So what you can see is my tendency is to kind of back up and have my arms in front, but what he's asking me now is to counter my intuition and really stay close. And here you can see me again, both arms up. This is super good in Muay Thai as well. If you get into a position where you can have control of both of your opponent's arms, look, I'm tapping my front foot, I'm light on my feet, and what happens is I misdirect him again, and now I'm in a position to throw a strong strike. And he needs to be able to expect a return, right? After you kick, the opponent is always going to try to return something. So what happens is I land my foot, and I immediately after the kick go into a teep. a push kick where I push him away in case he was to advance, yeah? But he doesn't. So what happens here, you can't really see it well, is I pull his arm down and I give an elbow over the top. Okay, and now he says we're not gonna call out the shots anymore. This is just about pure flow. It's kind of the highest level that you can have in Muay Thai pads, where the pad holder is the person reacting. It's not the striker anymore who reacts, but it's the person who holds the pads. I can throw whatever and he will try to catch it. Yeah, this is where he wants to see me get creative and really show my full capabilities in Muay Thai. So of course not the first time that I do it. So I'm confident that I'll be able to manage. So you can see me start slow, right? Because I don't want to overwhelm him right away. Even at high level, you still need to be able to find your groove, yeah? So we're moving very slow in the beginning and then we're building the intensity. But here you can see me already with a very nice first move. He was throwing a push kick to see how I'm coping with it. And what I did is I caught the kick. You can see me grab the heel. I waited for a moment so he can see, oh, he was caught. Now he can adjust his pads. And now what happens is I see the target and I drop his caught leg and I'm jumping with the knee very high upwards. So now you can see us already built a little bit more. Yeah, double elbow, I'm angling out straight into a combination, because what I did earlier is after the angle out, the kick, I stopped, right? I maybe did a defensive move in case he was to advance, but I didn't continue the combination. But here you can see me, as soon as my left foot taps the floor, I'm going right into a knee again. And then after the knee, I'm not retracting. I'm pushing forwards and I'm landing in for an elbow. Of course, these are combinations that he also knows. It's not that I only know them. But it's still surprising in terms of this is the first time he's seen me do it, right? It's a pattern established that after the angle out and the kick, I'm not attacking anymore. But this time I showed him I can flow straight into the next combination. Same move again, because I love the angling out. I do the teep afterwards like we had established, and now I'm again building another sequence, yeah? I'm hopping in with a fake teep. And we have a little moment where we realize, okay, this was a feint. Now I need to throw another hit. And you can see me stepping with a knee, and afterwards I hit an elbow. He tries to punch me, but I blocked very well. And I hit another elbow back. Now again, he tries to teep me. I'm quite good at the reflexes, yeah? I'm able to catch teeps quite well. So this time I catch the other teep. Last time it was the right leg. This time I'm catching the left leg. And now what I'm doing is I'm throwing his leg away. Yeah, so he opens up and kind of falls into the path of my power kick. And he's able to cover up the higher area, yeah? You could say it's a high kick with the pads. And I'm even jumping, yeah? So normally this will be a head kick, which is a super nice combination, yeah? Because after your teep is caught, you're usually quite off guard for a second. But what happens here is I catch it, I release it straight away, and I even release it into a direction where it's going to collide with my strong kick. And I'm jumping for a head kick, so this is a nice one. Afterwards, you can see a little tap on my glass. I knew I'd done that well, and I'm smiling, and he's smiling as well. Again, elbow sequence, finishing with kicks. These are my two favorite techniques in Muay Thai, yeah? I love the elbows and I love the kicks. So I'm able to combine them quite well, and he picked up on it. And what you do as a good coach is you try to strengthen what your coachee is already doing well, yeah? So he saw these are good weapons of mine, and then he wants me to combine them and do them more often. So if we run it back for a second, you see me in my stance. I'm throwing a knee, I'm jumping right into the elbow. So what I do here is I ask him to force me more into defense, yeah? Because as of now, what he does mostly is showing me attacks, yeah? And we've kind of done that for a while now, so I'm asking him, okay, can you really pressure me? Can you try to make me uncomfortable so I can evade the strikes as well? And he says, of course, no problem. I mean, obviously he can do it once I ask. So he is giving me a kick, and this is what you see. My immediate tendency, right, is to step back for the kick to miss. And now what he says is, let's try to stay in the pocket. Let's try to stay and really defend what he throws. Because he says his style of fighting is not really going back, so he wants me to kind of adjust a little. He says catching is good. So what I'm gonna try to do next now, obviously, is catch. Here you can see him demonstrate the catch. And he was waiting for what I'm gonna do once my kick is caught. Yeah, the thing is, my balance is very good and I'm not too uncomfortable with one of my legs being caught. Yeah, normally what happens is, as soon as you get caught, you try to get out of it, you try to start punching, or you want to rip your leg out. But it's not always my first tendency. So in this moment, I was fine with having my kick caught because I'm good balancing on my left foot. I'm just jumping, waiting for him to do something. But he was also waiting for me to do something. So I'm saying, I was waiting for him to come close. So if he wants to sweep me, I can jump over it. Okay. I love this sequence. I love this sequence. Let me rewind it real quick. What happens here is he shows me, he says, oh, I'll show you how to get out of the having your kick caught very quick, yeah? But I already knew what was coming. So I really held strong onto his leg so he couldn't get it out. Okay, look. Because the technique is kicking and right upon impact retracting your foot so the opponent doesn't have really time to catch it. But I knew what was coming. You can see him trying to get it out, but it didn't work. Because I had it quite well. And he was laughing. And here he shows me how to do it if you're not prepared for it. As soon as there's impact on my body, he flips it out. But he's pulling by the knee first, yeah? He's not pulling by the ankle first. And I say Sanchez style because I knew where the technique came from, right? Yeah, especially if the kick is caught a bit deeper and you can't really get it out anymore. That's when you can start doing the hopping style that I did earlier, and that's when you can start the distance management with the arms and by doing a knee shield, by turning your leg. So kick is caught and I immediately retracted, right? I was waiting for my leg to hit his armpit and I immediately retracted my foot, but by forcing the knee out first. See how my knee rotates first? My knee goes outwards towards the right, and that's when it gets easy to pull the ankle out. And he says even when you're fighting and you're sweaty and you're not wearing clothes, it's much easier to get it out this way. Okay, this technique is done, so you asked me with the kicks and blocks to now keep going. We're kind of out of frame here. We're discussing what I should do after I strike, because he knows it's not the best way to just drop the leg. You should really push it away so the opponent doesn't have the balance to cover up and lift it again, yeah? Because what happens if you just drop it is your opponent isn't forced into a certain direction, so he can lift it before you kick, yeah? And I'm showing him my way of going around that is I drop the leg and I kick him off balance with my lead leg, and then I throw the power shot, yeah? Which is also quite advanced technique, I'd say. So afterwards we have a little laugh. But you can see it here in slow-mo. I drop the leg, I make sure it doesn't land on the spot so he can't lift it, and then I'm going straight into my power kick. And he says it's nice, but he asked me to do it again the way he wanted to show it to me. And what happens next is that he's analyzing the way I catch teeps, yeah? His preferred way of doing it was with the left hand around the heel, because then you can pull better. This is exactly what I meant. Now he shows me what happens if you don't throw the leg away, yeah. And I already told you earlier, my balance isn't too shabby. So he says hold your leg up and hold the balance. And if he throws it away lightly, like he did right here, what happens is you can just leave your leg in the air, right? And if there's a kick coming, you can see our shins collide. Yeah, I'm able to block the kick because he didn't put force into the throw. and, and he said, hold the leg up, right? And obviously he put way much force into it, so it's very high. So you can see me struggle with an awkward block. And then we're laughing again. I'm just showing him another ways to defend the tip that I use. And at this point, I'm just asking him to see what he thinks about it. Yeah. So I'm catching the tip, but not from the inside this time, but from the outside. You can see my arm is on the right, right? And now you slide it out immediately. It's like a parry, but you redirect the kick, and then afterwards you immediately step in with an elbow. So the same arm that parried the kick is used to elbow afterwards. And let's hear what he says about it. Yeah, yeah. He says it's a really nice one. Yeah, but I'm also in the same sentence I'm explaining it's much more natural for me to go to not grab the way it's required for this technique. Now he gives me all of the best options that he has for defending a tip. Yeah. So this is the proper way that it's mostly done. Yeah. You have the hand cuffing the heel, the left hand, and the right hand on top of the foot. Now the second one that he just showed is the same one that I used for the elbow setup, right? You just wipe the leg to the outside. And now he shows me another one that I hadn't discussed yet. And this is just a minor turn with the forearm. It's a misdirection, but using this part of your arm, where you just have a little flick to the side. And it sets you up for very strong punches, right? Because afterwards you're already loaded and you can rotate with your whole shoulder for the cross. Mm. Yeah, yeah, and he says you have to be careful with this one because if they're teeping with their toes first and you try to intercept it with an elbow, it puts your partner, if you're in training your partner, at risk of breaking their toe. But of course, in a fight, that will be something you don't pay attention to. Okay, now after that discussion, he says, pick whatever you like, just go with the flow, yeah? And I catch the heel, and this time I want to surprise him, right? So I'm not flicking his leg to the left side anymore, but I'm flicking it to the outside and I'm kicking his back, which is a very great score in Muay Thai as well. Because on the back, you can't defend the kick, right? There's no way you can block it, even if you were to hold your balance. And now I ask him, should I rather kick the back or the front? What do you think is better? And he said, going with the back is a great option, really. Now we're having the same discussion, but he catches me off guard, right? So he says, just do the same again, and I'll show you how to evade it. And I was like, nah, you can't really evade that one, yeah. And what he does is he just ducks under it, yeah. We have a little high five to end the round. Interruption is over now. We realize we still have a few minutes left in the break, and we can get in some more work. So as long as there's more room to practice a little, we're definitely gonna do it. And he says both of us are not too tall, lanky fighters, yeah? If you're 6 foot something and you have long limbs, then you can fight a certain style. Yeah, and he's picking up on the point that I'm more in the Muay for Muay style. You fight with elusiveness and you fight with fight IQ. You try to outsmart your opponent. But he says, since we're both not the lanky, tall type of fighters, you also have to have in your arsenal being fine with being in the pocket. You need to be comfortable staying close and getting into the pocket to really deliver strong punches. So basically what he says is if you're tall, you can just stay in the long guard and keep and fight from there. But you don't need to have a proper understanding of defending strikes. But he says we're both not this type of fighter, so we need to know how to really defend punches. And now he wants to check how I do it. So you can see my tendencies there. You can see me kind of crossing the arm, being more or less in the long guard, and sometimes even have a little parry. Yeah, I'll rewind it for you once more so you can see what I mean. Here, whenever he punches, you can see me cross my arms a little, yeah? He's leading with a jab, and what happens then is I will cross my arms to close the gap in between my arms. Now he's gonna throw another punch, again jab, and you see me altering my defense. So I'm not defending the strike with the same motion each time, but I'm mixing it up to not be so predictable, yeah? So first time I had the long guard, then I rotated a little bit with my right arm. And then you can see me parry with my left. So we have three types of defense here already in the three strikes. Now he keeps jabbing, and what I tell him then is, if you're waiting for me to slip, I'm never gonna slip. And obviously this was a year ago, so I was still very much in my Muay Thai bubble, yeah. I've expanded beyond that by now, but back then slipping wasn't really in my repertoire. I would just try to block the punches and return. So that's just me saying there's nothing wrong with slipping and also being able to slip if you wanted to. But at that point, I just didn't do it. And he says that's no problem for Muay Thai because my defense is solid. And he shows me the types of defenses that I used so far, which is, again, long guard, rotating, and parrying. And he says I'm not parrying wrong, yeah, because there's a tendency for people to parry very over exaggerated and really intercept the strike, but this leaves you open for changes around your parry. But I just tap very lightly, and this is nice. Yeah, I'm not reaching. That's his point. And then he wants me to show how I defend the hook, and I just do very basic motions, yeah. And what I tell him then is the right overhand is not thrown too much, right? So I don't have to defend it very often. And here I got carried away. Yeah, I got excited because, again, it's awesome to have such a person, especially when it's for the very first time, who can give you feedback on your techniques. So I was showing him one of the setups that I use when I'm attacking with an overhand. It's one big overhand, and then afterwards you step through and you elbow from below. Yeah, it's a really slick move, and it works 99% of the time. So I love it, and it makes him smile again. And then he asked me for if I know a certain knockout by a certain fighter in the UFC. He's called Anderson Silva, and yeah, I knew the fighter, but I didn't know the knockout. And he likes the technique so much, he puts up the gloves just to whip out his phone and show me how the knockout was done, yeah? So again, little interruption here. Okay, so interruption is over, and now we're back to discussing the hooks. Mm-hmm. And he says the defense is solid, but if I really defend like this, I'm missing out on an opportunity. And now he explains what opportunity that is. He asked me where's the power coming from, and I say the rotation. And he says I can add to shelling up also a push that interferes with the rotation that creates the force, as we established just before. Yeah, the chest and arm area. And you can do the same with the right hook as well. You stop the motion and you set yourself up for a nice counter afterwards. Mm. Mm. Okay, and he says if you just block with the shell, the attacker still feels like they've done something. But if you rattle them with the push, it kind of throws you off guard and you start paying attention to the counters. And the first time I tried, I'm just pushing the shoulder, but he says don't do it to the shoulder only, but also to the chest area, because the shoulder on its own, it can be very slippery. Mm-hmm. But here you can see me. Let me rewind for a second. Here you can see me. Every time I do it, I step in a little bit, right? You can see me step forward. Wait a second. Here. Take a look at my feet. It's like a jab. I'm almost jabbing. Yeah? But he asked me to do it on the spot without moving. Mm-hmm. And now we're jumping into uppercuts because we're already in kind of a long guard motion with the defense, right? He says if you were to explain it to a beginner, the way you should do it is just covering the center line with the forearm in some way. As long as you do that, you should be fine. Now with the uppercut, the same, because obviously in Muay Thai we're not a big fan of the double guard, yeah, of the normal shell that you do in boxing. Also in MMA, mostly you don't do it either. But he says if you're just getting started, it doesn't matter if you do it this way or this way, but the center line has to be covered, and it's also the same for uppercuts. Here I'm asking him to show the uppercut defense for me with the long guard. Mm. Now he explained why it feels off for me. If you look at the detail here, because when I do it, see the rotation. I don't just have my long guard up. I also rotate. And what happens when I rotate is I make him punch the soft part of my arm. I don't make him punch the elbow. And if he was to punch my elbow, that will be extremely painful for him. But basically by rotating, I'm making life easier for him. It should just be closing. It shouldn't be rotation. And once I stopped rotating, it started feeling less off. And I'm asking him to do the same with the lead uppercut and see. And he says for the lead uppercut, you just switch the arms of the long guard. So instead of extending the lead arm, you're extending the back arm. Mm. And he explains why exactly that version of the long guard is better for an uppercut. If he uses the first option, you can see him still be relatively open for hooks, yeah? Over here. And he's going to ask me, what's the open space right now? And you can see me exploit the open space, right? But if he was to use the other motion, the hook is kind of blocked. What you can do here is the body, yeah? But the head is protected. Then again, what I would say is long guard is mostly good for Muay Thai when you're wearing big gloves. The long guard isn't too good for MMA. Okay, so basically here we're just drilling. Now that we have the takeaway, what we're doing is drilling the right response, yeah? So he's saying, meet my fist with your elbow. And we're doing it for the right side and we're doing it for the left side, yeah? So here, if he's throwing the lead uppercut, you can see me extending the left elbow towards his hand. And if he's throwing the right uppercut, then you can see me extending my right elbow to meet his hand. We just get the flow so I can get a hand of the motion. And he says it's also an option to do it for the straight punches as well, like covering like this. Yeah, you can see because I knew this motion from MMA already. Yeah, it's like wiping your head, brushing your head. See, that's exactly what I'm telling him as well. But you don't even need to do the whole brushing motion. He just says you can flick the elbow towards the punch in any moment. I love this moment. I love this moment because this is the amazing part about being with such level professionals. Yeah, they have these kind of attacks and insights that you normally don't get. And he's asking me, you do MMA as well, right? In MMA, you're mostly standing not too close. You have your arms extended a little bit. Yeah, it's the same I said earlier. You don't use the close guard, the long guard. You defend more by being out of space, out of the void in between the two fighters. You take a step back from the pocket. And he says what you can do then is you can punch the lead arm. Because let me just show you real quick. See what he did? Instead of aiming for my face, he punched right behind my elbow, my upper arm. And my reaction? My reaction was to think, okay, he just wants to open up space by punching my arm out of the block. But then he did it again on the sweet spot, yeah, and my whole arm started tingling, and you can see me say, ah, okay, because there's a nerve going on right over there, and it's very sensitive to being punched. And now he's asking you to do the same. And I can't believe that it hurt because I was going very light, and obviously I didn't know about the spot like 10 seconds before. And I was like, that hurts? But he reassured me. Let's rewatch it for a second. And he does this fucking. Yeah, funny elbow. It's like a funny elbow. With the big gloves, it doesn't have the same effect. That's what he says. Yeah, and still, you can punch the arm out of the way to open up room for the cross straight down to the chin, yeah? And same with the other motion. You can do a right uppercut and then open up for a body shot. Mm. And here I ask him about another technique that I use. So instead of actually throwing the jab and the jab cross, you just reach behind the hand and you pull it down and then punch over it. Let me rewind for a second. I'm in the pocket, right? I take a step into the pocket. I reach behind his arm, I pull it down, and I open up the shot for the cross. And then he asked me if I can hold pads for him as well, because he's still keen on trying out the one championship gloves.
Yeah, that was amazing, but really good technique though.
Here you can hear him at the very end say that was amazing and I have a good technique, which obviously was the impression that I was trying to leave, right?
Yeah, that was amazing, but really good technique though.
Thank you. Always say thank you afterwards. After someone holds pads for you, yeah. That's the bare minimum you can do for your pad holder. So that was 20 minutes of striking with a UFC striking coach. You can see the type of understanding, not just of the movements, but also of your own body, the level of control you have to have over your own body. It all needs to be on point if you want to impress people at this level, yeah? Obviously, this is not where I started. Before this very day, I was training Muay Thai for around 2 years. I started off in Amsterdam learning traditional Muay Thai, then I dived into MMA in Berlin, while I worked at a big company where I trained leaders over there in Berlin. And you can definitely have shortcuts. If I was to start again with the knowledge from now, of course it wouldn't take me 2 years to develop this kind of understanding. But this is the beauty of having a coach, right? Coaching is not about me showing you I'm better than you. Coaching is about me sparing you unnecessary effort and wasted time. So if you want to learn Muay Thai the way I did it, but do it even faster than I did it, so you can impress UFC coaches as well, you have my full method down below in the video description, right? You can go check it out.